The DJI Osmo Pocket 3 has officially been out for 2 years now, and it's been incredibly popular for both filmmakers and content creators. It's such a great pocket camera that literally anyone can pick up and have some fun with it, but it also has pro image quality that looks really, really good. Now with the success and popularity of the Osmo Pocket 3, it's almost inevitable that there will eventually be an Osmo Pocket 4. And I have no idea when an Osmo Pocket 4 will come out, so I'm not going to predict any release dates or any specs, but rather just give you a wish list of features that I personally would love to see in the Osmo Pocket 4, and also some features in the Osmo Pocket 3 that I would like DJI to just keep the same and put into the Pocket 4. But first, here's how I actually use my DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I absolutely love taking this little guy out on trips and vacations, so pretty much anytime whenever I travel, I will bring this camera with me. It's small and quick enough to use that I can document life and memories without feeling like it's a distraction, and it doesn't get in the way of me or my loved ones enjoying the trip. And second, I love to use the Osmo Pocket 3 as a little behind the scenes camera when I'm out making my short films or YouTube videos. I'm a solo filmmaker, so I like that this camera is quick and easy to grab behind the scenes, which that's a really important part of my job because I make a lot of tutorials here on YouTube. Now the first feature I'd love to see in the Osmo Pocket 4 is a slightly larger sensor than the 1-inch CMOS sensor that's in the Osmo Pocket 3 right now. What a larger sensor means is that we're gonna get more dynamic range, which is the amount of information in your highlights and your shadows. And in my opinion, dynamic range affects your image quality more than the actual resolution. For example, the ARRI Alexa Mini. That camera has been used for a ton of feature films and TV shows throughout the years, and it only has a max resolution of 3.4K. So not even 4K resolution. However, it has 14 stops of dynamic range, which when you pair that with amazing lighting and production, the image looks absolutely beautiful. And also a larger sensor will mean better low light performance, and a larger sensor also allows for a more shallow depth of field, meaning you're gonna get blurrier backgrounds. The next feature I'd love to see is a slightly larger display. And I know they can't make the display much larger without making the camera grip itself bigger. So even if they made the display like a half an inch or 0.75 of an inch larger, I think that'd make a huge difference and just make the shooting experience more enjoyable. Next, I'd love to see a gimbal lock mode that would keep the camera itself completely still. There's been a couple times where I've set this camera up on a tripod for long takes, and throughout the shot, the camera gradually moves either to the left or to the right, which that can be kind of annoying, and you want your camera to be still. A gimbal lock mode that would disable all image stabilization would also allow me to get some really cool POV shots with magic arms, and I filmed a ton of those with my FX3. The trick to making a POV shot look really good is turning all image stabilization off. That way the camera is completely locked onto whatever object or subject you're shooting. Next feature I'd love to see on the Osmo Pocket 4 is the real D-Log color profile. Now on the Osmo Pocket 3, we have D-Log M, which is a slightly more saturated and contrasty version of the real D-Log. So it's not gonna give us as much flexibility or dynamic range that the real D-Log profile would give us. And it could just be a limitation of the incredibly small sensor in the Osmo Pocket 3. So adding a larger sensor, maybe something like the 4/3 CMOS sensor in the Mavic 3 Pro, I think they could definitely add in real D-Log. Now the fifth feature I'd love to see comes with a caveat, which I'll explain later, but I would love to see if they did do something like a dual camera system, with the main camera and lens being the 20mm wide angle lens and the secondary lens being a 50mm or 70mm tele lens. Recently on my short films, I've been shooting tighter focal lengths like 50 and 70mm, more often because I noticed that those tighter focal lengths tend to add more depth, and I know the word cinematic is a bit played out, but in my opinion, they tend to look more cinematic in some situations. For example, my first attempt at filming this scene with my car, I believe I tried to shoot it at 28mm, and the shot just did not look good. So I came back the next day and I actually shot it at around 55 to 60mm, and the shot just looked perfect. It made the background more compressed and it just looked like a solid portrait. Now when I'm out using the Osmo Pocket 3, it's more in a vlogging situation, so I do really love that 20mm focal length. You can capture a super wide field of view just even at an arm's length, so if you are vlogging, that's kind of perfect. But I will say I do occasionally use the opposite optical 2x zoom if I want detail shots, or maybe if the subject is a little bit further away. And the way digital zoom works is it just crops in on the sensor and it still looks pretty good. However, detail, dynamic range, and low light performance isn't going to be as good as if you're using the full sensor. Now, if I had to choose between having one camera with a larger sensor or dual cameras with the same, if not smaller sensors than the Osmo Pocket 3, then of course I would choose one camera with a larger sensor. To me, the benefits of a larger camera sensor outweigh the benefits of having two different focal lengths. And honestly, I just continue to use the 2x optical zoom. Another feature I'd love to see in the Osmo Pocket 4 is when shooting in D-Log or D-Log-M, I'd love a Rec. 709 display assist on the screen. Display assists are essentially filters that you can add to your display screen only, and that way, even though you're filming in that flat D-Log color profile, you're not going to be viewing a super desaturated, low contrast log profile while you're shooting, and you'll get a better idea of how your footage will actually look once you go into color grade it. Now, some features that I already love in the Osmo Pocket 3 that I would want them to keep and implement in the Pocket 4 is one, the focal length. I love the 20mm focal length of the lens on the Osmo Pocket 3. Again, it's wide enough for having fun, and it's also wide enough to capture some really cool environments when you're out traveling. And I think for a majority of people's use cases and why they're picking up an Osmo Pocket 3, 20mm was really a great idea from DJI, so please just keep that. Another feature I'd love to keep is for the storage, the micro SD port. For pocket-sized cameras like this, I think micro SD is perfect for the form factor. And the only reason we'd need something other than a micro SD card port is if DJI decides to add raw video codecs to the Pocket 4, which that is something I do not want just because raw file sizes are absolutely huge. And I like that DJI just has a compressed HEVC 10-bit codec and you can shoot log and have a ton of flexibility, but also still have pretty small file sizes. So anyways, that's my wish list for the DJI Osmo Pocket 4. And if there's any features you want to see, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.